2, 3, 4. All right. This will give people time. Oop.
Okay. Oh, you can really hear yourself, can't you?
Yeah, you should be able to. Test. Can you hear yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Loud enough?
That's what I mean. I didn't expect it to be so loud.
All right.
Todd Medina, Soldier One Studios. What's going on here? Democracies, aristocracies, oligarchies, monarchies, hierarchies, presidents and popes. What's the real dope? What's this all about? Faith, hope, doubt? That's all that earth stuff, man. I am a multi-dimensional, high-vibrational, evolutionary being, and I'm tired of hiding it. I am soul. I don't care who or what tried or is trying to deceive us, call it the devil or another's Messiah, prophet, or God. It's all the same to me. Whoever they are, they can never take our souls, and that's when we came here to learn. From the burn of being wrong, denying who we are, taking orders, lawless laws, a branded existence, but not anymore. I am divinity. Yeah. All right. The power we hold to mold the future, heavenly nirvana. From the inside, present, eternal. It's time to be a bolder flame. The game isn't the same. We are the spirit science synthesis, the action of conscious thought, alignment, transmuting to a living wisdom. Yeah. No longer dreaming the life, I am living the dream.
Old school. What's going on, everybody? Hang on, let me get it set up. All right. All right. Put this over. There you go. Okay. So we have a special show. It's a spontaneous show with Stephen Savage.
Hello.
Now, there you go. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
And in typical Soulgy fashion, this just happened spontaneously. So what, 2-3 days ago? He's not on Facebook yet.
Yeah, no, I don't do the Facebook or Twitter, but yeah, it's about 3 days ago. I just kind of had a feeling. I used to live in Florida on the east side, and you know, I used to watch Greg Prescott, you know, with being, was it Sarasota or
Yeah,
and I was kind of drawn to this area, and then of course, you know, watching Todd, I realized that he was in Florida, so I contacted him. I'm like, hey, where in Florida are you? He's like, you know, I'm in this area, so I'm like, that's right where I was going. So I was like, okay, well, this is this is too good. I got to give it a shot.
yeah.
So I just threw my stuff in the van and just headed on down here. I didn't tell anybody, my family or anybody. I just headed on down.
And he's been doing this for a long time. He's been on his own since he was 15, basically. You know, I mean, making his own decisions. And so he came down here, and, you know, I don't even answer messages. And he made a comment on YouTube. I've been trying to work the YouTube comments because we're trying to build YouTube a little bit. And I saw this comment. He was coming down. I said, here's my email. And next thing you know, we're having, having a little appetizer on the beach. So
yep.
we got to talk. And the thing that I noticed about Stephen is he reminds me of the energy of a lot of the women that have come on in 1900 shows that have been kind of in the background, doing the work on themselves. And he's been doing it his whole life. You know, aware of the grids, aware of the ley lines, aware of what's happening. He's not on Facebook, you know, just kind of anonymous, but he's a man, which I haven't met a guy like this, to be honest with you. I don't think I can recall meeting anyone who carried that same frequency. And we talked a little bit about how you balance the masculine and feminine. It's just refreshing to meet somebody and have a conversation. So we thought we'd come over here and try to remember everything that you said.
Yeah, I definitely just a few days ago, I I wouldn't have guessed this, that's for sure. But yeah, my entire life I've always noticed that the masculine and feminine that have always been apparent and very abundant in my life in the extremes. So I realized that, that's probably one of the big reasons why I'm here is to be a part of extreme feminine and masculine, and then find a way to merge them together. And that's what I've been doing pretty much my whole life, but I haven't really been conscious of it until probably just 10 years ago or so, and then I mean, even less than that when I was truly conscious of it. But yeah, it's amazing to, everyone always says, you'll find what you're meant to do. You'll just know it, and it'll just come clear one day. But if you're searching for it, if you're actively looking for your purpose, then that means that you already have an idea of what you think it is. So if you let go of looking for your purpose, apparently it'll come to you. Like it's just a fact of the control factor. The less control you have over yourself, then it's like we were talking about before, like there's a dam, you can let a little bit of the water go through the dam that's controlled, or you can become the waterfall and just kind of just say screw it and just let it out. And that's what I've really gotten into recently. I mean, like truly recently. But yeah.
You mean like letting go?
Yeah.
Like letting
exactly.
go. You got to let go to get it.
You do, because
Yeah.
I've always been a very logical person, which is probably, another polarity of me being, because I'm very out there as well too. But I've always been logical at the same time. So I've always been a part of both polarities. But letting go basically means, what happens, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be for your benefit regardless. So why try to control it? Whenever you do, you only get a portion of what you're meant to get anyway.
Wow. Yeah. And so you had the normal, some of the normal characteristics of, what people might call light workers, starseed. Your parents split like you were 7. I think.
Yep.
And then you told me, one of the first things you told me was that it took you to your late 20s, early 30s
Oh yeah,
to clear that, which told me you were doing your own inner work, your own shadow work. You're very much a loner. You were kind of the outcast in the family and the whole 9 yards that everybody talks about on these shows. And but you've also had like dimensional experiences. You're communicating with the universe. You're hearing the universe, and you just had all kinds of experiences that I think a lot of people have, but they don't really talk about it.
Well, that's the thing, is you don't know their experiences. To you, it's just who you are. It's what you are, but you don't realize that they are not normal, supposedly, which that word. It's like, I remember watching this one movie, the bum said there's nothing crazier than normal. Ain't that the truth? But yeah, so all these different experiences that I've had, they've apparently they've been something, because I just put it off and just like, oh, well, whenever you try to talk to somebody or try to actually get into a deep conversation with people, they automatically put up that wall. It's like you can't say more than 3 or 5 words without all of a sudden them talking about sports, the weather, or politics. I mean, there's more going on than just that. But I don't need to tell y'all that. Y'all are very aware of that.
So and you've been sitting in your garage for what, like the last 2-3 weeks before you headed out, and there was a triangle. Oh no, I'm sorry, a pyramid.
It was. I basically think it was a pyramid, but of course it looked like a triangle from just one perception of it. But so basically, I have a little like kind of living room area set up in my garage to where I sit in a nice little chair. I have the garage door open. I just sit there, I listen to music and chill out. And you can probably see about 8 to 10 foot of the sky right in front of me, because there's trees and then the top of the garage door. And I noticed about 2 weeks ago, there was this pyramid shape just hovering right in the center of my open area of the sky. And of course it wasn't plain and obvious, but my third eye, I guess, whatever it was, just noticed it. And it was like, interesting. I talk to him once in a while. Of course, I don't have like an actual conversation back and forth like we're having, but every once in a while, I let them know that I know they're there.
Yeah.
And I just thank them and, give them love and be like, whatever you're doing, you must be doing something right for me. So thanks for showing me.
Did you get any kind of response back or feeling?
Inside I do. I internalize it. Like I feel everything. I mean, like you'll be amazed. Like, well, I've always have, but yeah, it's normally my heart will start palpitating, or the center of my solar plexus or something like that will feel something.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, like I was saying, just like right now, it's like I feel perfectly calm, but my heart and this whole center area is just exploding at the moment. So it's very interesting.
You're living proof that we can function when that happens.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like differentiating that what that is versus, the human feeling nervous and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm here to give you guys a little heads up that I'm not saying that anybody's further or whatever or behind anybody, but at my state of where I am at the current moment, I feel connected. And I don't feel like I'm feel connected. I am connected. It's not a question or am I not. It's a are you or are you not?
Yeah.
And I've actually reached the level to where I am.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a doubt. Like there's nothing in the back of my mind that pops up and be like, oh, well, what about this? Or well, what about that? Because there was for many, many, many years. But that has finally, and of course, a lot of times when I sit alone, here's something that helps a lot too. Like whenever you have anything that's going on, just take it and just pull them out. Pull those energies out, because those are embedded things that from your entire life being programmed. Sometimes you have to physically rip them out. I've been doing that for about a year now. I've been ripping stuff out. And I noticed that I've been feeling lighter and lighter because of it.
Wow.
And this is I'm not guided by anybody or anything. I mean, apparently I am, my higher self or whatever, but I don't talk to anybody. I don't even have friends. I mean, I do technically have.
Well, you got one now.
Well, yeah, right. There's only two people that I've even known for longer than a 20-year period, but we barely ever speak.
So it just goes to show you that it's almost like what you're doing is showing what the normal is, what the new normal is. It's like, people come on this show and you've got all these people out there on other shows and videos and posts and groups and all that. But there's a whole shitload of people out there like you who are doing this their own way. Like Morgan says, there's many ways up the mountain and that haven't been gone public. And like I was saying at the top of the show, I've met a lot of women on this show that have come out, like many of them for the first time, and they have the same type of energy you do. I haven't met a man till today, which is kind of cool.
Isn't that a thing? Is if you try to plan your future, try to plan your steps, and then you're only going to get within your small realm of knowledge than what your history has shown you. And that's the thing. Like 3 days ago, because I actually have my own business. I have a carpet cleaning company, and I've kept trying to, get my jobs back and all that, because I haven't worked in 2 months, like not one single job in 2 months. And before then, I was doing hotels, doing country clubs, doing some rather nice places, in your restaurants and stuff. But, and then all of a sudden, it's like it just ended. And I kept trying to go back to the old, like, okay, every time I did, it failed. It failed. It failed. It failed. So that's when just recently I decided on, like, all right, maybe the old way really just doesn't cut it anymore in any way, even though that I've managed to get rid of most of the old way and all the, ways that I really shouldn't, but it's not getting rid of 60 or 70%. It's 100.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm realizing is it's not just, all right, I'm 80% there. 80% there means you're still 20% there. So if you want to go all the way, it takes it all.
It's an all or nothing proposition. It's an all or
when
nothing
you're ready for it. Exactly. But
true.
And that's the thing. It's when you're ready for it, you just know. And how you know is because you're not fighting yourself anymore. Because when you're fighting yourself, that's basically you telling you you're not ready yet. Be patient.
So
we are.
Yeah, I'm going to plug in the internet, so you're going to have to talk to him for a second. But okay. So like in one of the things you were talking about, because I think a lot of people out there, we all do. Why wouldn't somebody want a relationship, with somebody that's, connected to him at the same level, that there's no games, there's no codependent frequency or toxic aspect to the relationship. You had a lot of relationships. None of them lasted more than 2 years. And I don't know, for some reason I brought that up because you were telling me about it.
Yeah, that's I've always, of course, everyone around me, they've, they've been in relationships, they had their high school lovers, and they were 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they get engaged, they get married, they do all this, they buy their house, the white picket fence and all that, and but you see they're not happy. I mean, 9 times out of 10 they're kind of miserable, and they're making excuses, and they all of a sudden they show things they start doing things in their life, like, well, cheat, they start, acting ways that are not good, or not really good, but that are not their true selves. And so it started becoming codependent, or when it, started to seem unhealthy, then I would leave. And of course, everybody would look at me like there's something wrong with me, like I'm just a failure. Same thing with jobs. I'm what they call like a jack of all trade kind of guy, but I don't stick around and do something for 10 or 15 years. It's like, okay, I'll learn it. I'll get there for 6 months or a year, and I'll learn it, and I'll be really good at it, and then I'm gone. But everyone else would look at me as a failure. And, same with school. Once I would learn my basics, ABCs, learn how to comprehension, read, write, math, all that kind of stuff, I'm like, well, what's the rest for? I want to learn the rest on my own. And of course, I dropped out of school after I failed ninth grade 2 times, because the first year of ninth grade, I skipped 80%. The second year of ninth grade, I skipped 75%.
No wonder I like you. You're a hoodlum.
So I was just like, you guys are nuts. And like, I looked around, all these adults trying to tell me, oh, you need to do this. I'm like, so you're trying to say I need to be you? Why in this world would I want to be you? I mean, look how miserable you are.
So when do you think the first time you could say that I was connecting with my higher self? And tell the story about when your higher self came in.
That was actually the old LSD there. Mm-hmm. That was I spent many years of my younger years. I was actually a raver. And I used to do a lot of raving because I just love the energy, and I would dance for hours. Oh, I didn't tell you this. The first time I ever went to a rave club, I think it was 18 or something like that, somewhere around there. And of course, that was ecstasy. I was always shy before then. Like, all right. Anyway, I had a bad stuttering problem until I was 13. Like, I was really messed up because of all this stuff. So I was very shy from 13 up until 18. I didn't dance in public. I would never do any of that. You took a
hit of X, and
and all of a sudden I started dancing, and apparently I was dancing for a good 20, 30 minutes. I had my eyes closed. I opened my eyes, and there were people surrounding me. Yeah. They were just watching me. That was my first experience ever doing anything in public like that.
I can relate to that.
And then I just opened my eyes, and I'm like, this shit is for me. Yeah. This is for me.
And then your voice came.
Yeah.
Your true voice.
Yeah. And that, of course, that was later on, but first dancing was my thing. Yeah. And of course, I love to sing, but it's always.
Oh, you like to sing?
Oh yeah, I love singing.
What do you like to sing? Wait, I don't want to get off subject.
Whatever feels right.
You're going to have to sing something before we get off.
Oh, well, that's always, like I said, it's always been in private. And that's something that I'm learning to all right, time to get out there a bit.
That's right.
But yeah.
And so like, when was the first time, like, people, like, I never heard of light workers until 2013. And I mean, I heard of New Age in the 90s, but, I never heard of higher self, and really, it never really anchored till, like 2015, 2016 when I met Morgan. So like, when's the first time that you felt that connection? Was it the time you did LSD, or
the first time that I actually had like almost a physical
just like when you went, wait a minute, who's right?
Yeah, that was the LSD, and like I said, that was, when was that? That was probably not too long ago, just a year or two ago.
Oh yeah.
I was actually by myself, because sometimes it's fun to do it with people, sometimes I like to do it by myself and just kind of have my own experience. And I was sitting there, and I decided to make this entire trip completely spiritual. Like, I went deep. I mean, like, I started doing toning. I started, next thing I know, bam, something just hit me, and my eyes just exploded, and I felt so real. And I started moving my arms. I was like, wow, and just everything. And I started just dancing, and I pushed myself when I was dancing, and I noticed, regardless of how I moved myself, nothing hurt. Like, I could bend my arms all the way back or whatever, nothing hurt. There was no pain. And it was just, a hell of an experience. That was the first time when I think my higher self and me
Yeah.
merged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I woke up and I went on the street and I had just taught myself how to dance. I was 49, and that was the same thing.
Yeah.
But I would do it like 4, 5, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
And later on, when I looked back, I realized that without books and without watching a video, because I didn't have any of that stuff, I was merging the higher self. The higher self and the human were like in one place, and the eyes closed and all that stuff, like you were talking about.
That's probably that's exactly what you're saying. I mean, because when you're dancing and your eyes are closed, there is no separation.
Yeah.
There's no you or me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the flow.
Yeah.
It's all the flow.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And so, what we were talking about? Oh, before that, we were talking about the relationship thing.
Oh yeah.
So, like, and I'm only asking you this because there's a lot of people out there who are just waking up, and there's a lot of people out there who we're all the same. It doesn't even matter. I think everybody wants to have a partner. So you're somebody who, you told me, which like all of us, had an issue with trust, weren't in long-term relationships. And
Yeah.
where do you stand with that now? Is that something that you want from the human aspect? Is that something you feel like?
Well, see, that's the funny thing, because I've been actually combating that back and forth in my mind for a while now to see where I stand with that and if it's changed. And the more and more that I comprehend, I really, think and settle with that. It's like, it's a thing that I only want it if I only want it because there's no attachment.
Right.
I mean, not saying that because
I know what you mean.
if I'm going to be with somebody, it's going to be with one person. It's just kind of how I am, because my energy, I don't like to mix energies and all of a sudden their emotions, because I don't want to deal with that. But at the same time, it's like, if I'm going to be with somebody, it's going to be with somebody that wants to be with me as much as I want to be with them. And there's no unhealthy attachment. There's no, need.
It's open.
Yeah.
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sovereignty.
And
Sovereignty.
That's kind of where I am.
Mutual
right
sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I asked him this at the restaurant, but do you feel like you have a specific mission? I think I asked you this at the restaurant. You were talking about a little bit. There was more than one, basically. But let's talk about the first part of it, then we'll get to the question. When you talked about being a node, like you've moved around 30, 40 times, you're 41 years old, you lived all up and down the coast from Florida up to the Northeast. And what were you talking about? Some of the stuff you were talking about being a node. That's one thing you know about yourself.
Well, basically, I've never been around anyone, family or friend wise, that was remotely even close to the person I am. And I realized that there's a reason for that, because nodes, basically hubs, whatever you want to call it, people like us that are here because our mission is much more than just small things, that we're here to bring, the world that we think that is real compared to the world that is real. We're here to bring that together. So that's a big mission. So to having two of us in a small area is kind of a waste. And then imagine if two of us grew up in the same area at the same time, our energies, who knows what would have happened, because we're so powerful that we can affect a very large area. And I realize that because I see people around me changing as I change. And I realize how far that goes out. So it makes sense that, that basically that this is the first conversation with a human in my life that even has a clue what anything that I'm saying.
Well, now you're talking to 90 other people at the same time.
See, and this literally just started. Before, like my sister, she's open, but she's, open for somebody who just, who still is at a certain level. But it's like, that's the closest thing that I've ever had. And of course you can get into a conversation, for a couple minutes, but then again, you still have to censor yourself. Yeah. So for me to be around somebody else that you don't have to censor yourself at all is mind blowing, because I've never experienced that. I'll be 42 this year. So I've spent a few years around people, and I've always been good with people. I've always been able to, you can put me in any situation and I'm great in any situation. Like, I know the first time I went on a cruise, imagine how many people on a cruise ship. And my girl at the time, she always asked me, she's like, how can you just walk up and talk to somebody? Like every time we got into an elevator or something like that, or else, standing next to somebody longer than a few seconds, I'll be like, hey, you doing all right and all that. And she always asked me, like, how can you do that? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I've always called myself introvert. I've always known myself as being shy, which apparently that is not true. And now I'm just learning that as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
have you noticed, I mean, like, how have you noticed, have you just noticed it with yourself in terms of people changing around you as your frequency changing, as your frequency changes? Have you noticed it in other people too?
I have. People seem to be a lot more connected to something higher than themselves. It doesn't matter if they don't know what it is or comprehend it, like we do. But I've noticed the people that I just run into gas stations and supermarkets and restaurants, they seem to just be lighter. They don't seem to be weighed down like they used to. Because before, in the past, when I would run into random people, they felt heavy. They felt like they're, oh, well, I got to pay my bills. I got this. Oh, my ex is doing this. But now when I run into people, it's none of that. Like, did you notice, that lady earlier, how happy and open and free she was?
Yeah.
She was just like, and I notice that everywhere I go now.
It's happy to have a customer.
Exactly. Yeah, really.
That's nothing that's weird. He came in yesterday and they reopened Florida today. So we went down to a restaurant, had a couple of glasses of water.
Indeed.
And some calamari.
Oh, yeah. I miss my Florida food. I live in Georgia now, and I'm like,
well, you're living here now. You're living in Florida. You're
Yeah.
living wherever your van is.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so you're noticing. So, have you been out much? I mean, you were in the business when you were in people's homes every day, and you get out, and then this thing hit, this quarantine, whatever. Have you been able to get out much since that happened? And have you noticed people getting lighter, or staying the same, or getting heavier when you've been out?
Well, now, because of all this stuff, with the masks and, the gloves, it's almost put a label on it now. It's almost like it kind of shows you where the dark, where the heaviness is compared to the lightness is. Because before, it was just a feeling for me. It's something I just kind of knew as I walk up to the person. But now it's almost like they're manifesting it in a different way. They're kind of like showing everybody, not saying that you judge people based on doing, because they're doing, if they feel that it's right, so be it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable. No, I have no problem with that. It's like, I give people room when I'll go to places. I'll give them the option if they want to be in close to me or not. Like, I'm not, because I like shaking hands. I like giving hugs. And
man,
of course, nowadays, nowadays with all this going on, it's just that's become an issue. I'm like, the fact that giving a hug and shaking someone's hand has become an issue, that tells you that they're scared. Whoever they are, whatever is going on, whatever is out there, whatever. I mean, I know it's us, obviously, but whatever that part of us that is the opposite of who we really are is so strong and showing us that means, because when you have a Wolverine or something in a corner, it attacks you. Whenever you corner something, it comes at you. And this is our dark side that is finally, the light is being shown upon.
Yeah.
And the dark is trying to fight back.
Yeah.
But, it only takes one candle to light a room.
We talked about that today. So wait a minute. We have a question. So you told me about your childhood, which was like a lot of our childhoods. It was dysfunctional. There was traumatic events, like what you talked about when your parents split at 7. What happened to you? No point in getting into it. But so you were already kind of in a place of introspection, like, hey, what's going on? I don't understand this. The big bubble has burst. Were you having any dimensional experiences when you were younger that you remember? Anything happening that was, like that's happening now in terms of like seeing things or hearing
Well,
things?
actually, there is only one thing, which is funny because a couple of years ago, I have a whole mother side of the family lives in Maryland. And when I was 12 years old, I was working for my uncles. They had a baseball card and comic book shop. And all 3 of us were standing outside one day. And there was this black, once again, it was a triangle, a pyramid, but it wasn't huge. It looked like, it's kind of hard to gauge how big and how far something is away sometimes. But from my perception, being a little 12-year-old kid, it looked like, maybe about this big in the sky. And it was probably not even 100 to 200 feet away. So I couldn't really tell. Maybe it was bigger, farther, maybe it was closer, smaller. But but I never forgot that. And about a year or two ago, I went up to my family up in Maryland and I asked my uncles, I'm like, hey, do you guys remember seeing the black triangle kind of ship passes by? And they both said yes. I was like, holy shit, that happened? Are you telling me that actually happened? Then I realized that was in the papers too.
Wow.
Very next day. And that's back when I was 12 years old. That's like the one time that really stands out there. Most of my childhood, to be honest, I don't remember. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I just kind of don't like it. That's like I was almost in stasis.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Which means you were probably off planet.
Yeah, probably so.
And we don't always remember those things, But so like, do you have like a go-to in your spiritual life? I mean, is everything kind of you and your higher self? I mean, do you appeal to angels? Do you consider galactic? Do you have any kind of experiences with animals or anything how do you roll?
I've always felt very connected to Orion. Matter of fact, I named a very important person in my life. I gave him the middle name Orion 13 years ago. And of course, that's before the so-called awakening, before I really knew what was going on. But when it comes to angels or Jesus, I mean, whoever, like, there's no one that I connect to.
Yeah.
To me, it's there.
Yeah.
And one of those LSD times, I told you about that time when I took a few of them and I felt like I was actually breaking apart. Like my body was like, I was about to disappear, and I called for help out in the ethers.
Who'd you call?
Anyone and everybody. I had no name. There was no Michael. There was no Jesus. I just let it say,
whoever shows up, please come help save my ass.
I told him, I said, calling all cars. I said, this is a calling all cars. I said, I'm not ready to leave yet. I said, I'm here to help. I'm here for a lot more things than I realized. I was like, I need y'all. I need everyone's help around me, everything. And no matter what dimension you're in, I called everyone, everything and everyone. And they held me down.
Kept you here. Kept you here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because otherwise I was going to poof. I was going to be gone. Because I could feel my skin breaking up and literally just like going into little millions of pieces.
So that was a dimensional experience with LSD or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't, in that entire time, I had to watch videos about cars, about fixing cars, because I had to be as logical as possible. Because whenever I would go into the spiritual realm, all of a sudden it would be like, I would go off and I'd come back. Nope, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Then I would start again. No, I'm not going. That's when I called for help. I'm like, all right, guys, I need you.
Isn't that where we have to get? Isn't that where we've all gotten many times, is where we're like, okay, I give up, I surrender, but beyond surrender, we're like, you know what, I'm done, kind of thing. Help, like, Yeah. And that's why I was saying, who you calling? Okay. Do you see yourself as a lone wolf? Let's see, or perhaps aligning with a sacred union or a soul tribe at some point?
It's funny. In the past, I would answer yes. I've always seen myself as a lone wolf, but now I realize that was just to get me to who I really am.
Yeah.
I had to go through those things in order to have those experiences, to feel that way, to realize I'm not that way.
Yeah.
So now, this is good stuff. I'm seeing that these nodes are coming together. That these ley line intersections, which we are, we're coming together now. We're ready. We've done our work for years. We've gone deep. I mean, seriously deep. I've gone down in every aspect of my life. I went down and visited myself in every incident I could think of and forgave myself, gave myself
every trauma, every age.
Oh yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I went through everything, and I went through about a year or two of just sweating almost, probably about 4 or 5 times a week for almost a year. I would just sweat profusely every night. And just, that was my body, preparing itself for the light.
Or releasing.
Yeah.
So are either one of your parents like this, or any of your grandparents? How did you get like this?
No, well, the whole thing that kind of brought me into something is different is the religion. Catholic. Back when I was a kid, I remember I was probably 8, 9, years old, and they said I need to go confess my sins to a preacher. And I looked at them like, so that means he's closer to God than I am. I'm like, so why do I need to tell another? Why do I need to confess my sins to a human? And of course, at that time, I was in Bible study as well too, and I kept asking questions about the Bible, and they kicked me out. Yeah, they actually did. They told me I couldn't. So
good boy, good for you.
So that was
Absolutely.
my beginning on something ain't right here.
Right
Something
on.
ain't right here.
So what are these?
That's just kind of random things. Oh, that's that's different right there. The saliva. All right. Now what I mean by that is,
well, go ahead and
like when you eat something that your body doesn't agree with, you'll notice that your saliva becomes kind of slimy. Get rid of it right away. Don't swallow that. I'm not talking about, the deep stuff, but you'll notice when your saliva is thin, it's fine. But when your saliva starts to get slimy, that's your body telling you, spit that out. Because what it is, the food that you're eating, that's how your body gets rid of the real bad crap in it. It becomes that slimy saliva. And if you spit that out automatically, then your body doesn't have to process that as much crap as normal. I've learned that quite a few years ago, and I've been doing it ever since, and my body loves it.
So if it starts to get real slimy, spit it out, don't eat it. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And
that probably even happens before you put the food in your mouth.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure
starts
sometimes.
To happen,
but what I think that's a culmination of the chemicals and different stuff in the food that's coming out in saliva, and it makes it the sliminess.
Yeah. Do you work with anyone? Do you ever like to work with anybody one-on-one?
What do you mean? Like work with?
Like, a session, helping somebody, counseling somebody.
No, and which actually that was a really strong feeling of mine a couple of years ago, that because for a while I thought about holding meetings in my basement, having people over and just have a discussion about anything. That was my main thing. I just wanted a discussion about anything to see what would pop up. But of course, with all me moving, I'm moving around so much, jobs here and there, and family having health issues, and I would always go and help them out. My mom was sick for a while, my dad was sick for a while, so I always did what I could do to help them out. So I always put myself on hold. And I've always had that inkling, that the feeling that that's what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. But the timing, it's about the timing. Timing's got to be right.
And what about the time, like your mom had cancer of the liver and you put your hand on her? That just kind of happened spontaneously. That was a long time ago too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was probably 10 years ago or so.
So just out of the blue?
And, we were just sitting on the couch watching TV because she loves her soap opera, Days of Our Lives, strong. I was forced to watch that for years. But
that was the worst trauma. That was the biggest trauma you had.
I tell you. But so we were just sitting on the couch, and and I just had this feeling. I just put my hand on her stomach and just said, just really lightly, "You're healed." I didn't really say it to her. I just kind of said it, and that's it. I mean, she didn't pay no attention. She didn't know what I said, what happened. I just went over and said, "You're healed." And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, or a week later, the doctors came back and said it was completely gone. It just disappeared. So, yeah, apparently that's one of my strengths.
These are good. I think you should read them. Every time you
feel pain, aka ascension symptoms, I breathe into the pain and give it love, and then compassion for the body for going through it. Finish with gratitude. So basically, when you feel these, ascension symptoms or pain that come out of nowhere, it's not from any, physical thing, then first, go drop into your heart, bring love in. And then after you get that, and then go to compassion for your body for dealing with this crap you're putting it through, and give it compassion. And then after that, and then feel gratitude for the whole cycle, which is a 3. Like I said, remember I said 3 kept popping up.
3,
and I only wrote down 3 things last night. And look,
3 is a very important number.
That came up last night.
That's right. The triangle, the pyramid, the Trinity.
And see, this is not things really.
So the body's conscious, isn't it?
It's extremely conscious.
You think the body's like a separate consciousness than, okay, like before this all happened, I would have said there's a human, his name's Todd,
I believe that.
But now it's almost like the body has a separate, I'm not saying that's the case. What do you think? Is the body like a separate voice from the human aspect?
Well, I
Does that
think
make sense?
because of the way that we've been living and how we've been programmed, it's become a separate thing because
Mm.
we have lost connection with our body.
Mm.
So it's not that it's different. It's just that we made it two different things.
You made it like external.
hmm
Yeah.
So now
makes sense.
that we're coming back together, now we just realize what we've always had, what we lost.
That's a good one. It's not that things really do start to connect or
Mhm.
connect
In many
in
different
many
ways.
different ways. You just start to notice them.
Mhm.
In other words, the connectivity is always there.
Right. It's not that things are now connecting. It's just they always have been connecting. You're just now noticing that.
Yeah. So it's like the connectivity is always there. And maybe the reason we didn't see it is because we were looking for a specific way it should be connected. That served us.
Exactly. And if you're always in your mind, then the only connection you have is your past and what you've been through, and the possibilities aren't there.
Yeah. So what do you think about the situation in the world today? That's a loaded question.
I think it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing because it shows all this inner work that we've been doing. This is a manifestation of it. And the fact that it comes out in fear is even better because, like I said, when you badger that, when you put that badger in a corner, that Wolverine in a badger is going to attack. And that's exactly what the dark is doing, which the dark is us, obviously. But at the same time, when you shine light on that dark, every once in a while, there'll be a shadow. If there's an object in a room, you put a candle in front of it, there's going to be a shadow behind it. So in order to get this shadow and light together, we have to get by these objects, which are our past programs and our issues. And
that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
The first time I ever thought of that. And it just
right now?
Right? Yeah.
Oh, you see what happens when you do something spontaneous, intuitive, creative, imaginative, and depending on what we're talking about, or doing courageous. That's the I am soul. No doubt. So, wow. Hang on, I had another question here. Oh yeah, I already asked you about that. So you actually see what's happening globally as a big positive as a result of the inner work, the sum total of the inner work that's been done. Yeah.
The worst thing that could happen right now is nothing.
Yeah.
So
let's do something.
Yeah.
That's really the energy of it.
That's it.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing is let go and you'll get it. It's like we hold on to stuff so like this has got to be true and I got to be right and they're right and all I won't get into any names, but this cause and this movement and this this whatever has to be right. If we let go, then we get it. And what's great about that is, and Morgan and I have experienced this a lot because we've had to let each other go. They come in, they say, you want to expand, you've got to let go of her, you got to let go of him, and we say yes. And then as soon as we do that, but you have to really mean it. Yeah. You get it. You get way more than you had before. And I think that's kind of the way this thing works.
It is, and it's so crazy because it's always been the opposite. It's always been upside down. Tell you, oh well, if you want to become good at something, you don't give up, never give up. You keep going, keep pushing forward, regardless. I mean, think about that. If you're always trying to force things, then you're not going with the flow, and then you're going all these other things that could happen for you won't happen because you're concentrating all your effort into this one little paradigm. And that's how people. It's like I always kind of laugh. Like people ask me where I'm from, or they try to ask me to explain, who I am, what kind of person I am. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, literally, like I don't know. It's like it's not a knowing. I don't know the person that I am. I know who I am, but I don't know because that person changes every second, every moment. It always expands. So I don't know the person I am. I just know what and who I am.
That's right. Right now.
At this moment.
It's not who you want to be. And it's not who you were or who you thought you were, who they thought you were. Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's right now. It's like, so do you have any, now you watch a few people, we talked about it. You watch Matt Kahn and 3 or 4 other people.
Of course, Laura and all,
Oh, Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah. Greg Prescott. And
right on.
Yep. And
so how did you find us anyway? Is it just surfing
Good
on
old YouTube. You know,
Yes.
well, actually, all of this started was Bentino Macero, probably about 7, 5, whatever 5. Whenever he first started his YouTube channel, that was the first guy, because he was just about. I mean, he basically stated the obvious, which I loved. He's just like, look, you're bam, bam, bam because of this and all that, and because of watching his videos, then everybody else started to bloop bloop into my life.
Right on. So, given that, you've heard people talk about the divine feminine, divine masculine. There's been a lot of talk about the divine feminine. There's been a lot of talk about where's the divine masculine. Do you see that masculine energy rising now as this old masculine's fallen? Do you see it? You have any feel for that and what it has to offer? Or have you seen it at all?
I see the power of them both now, because before they're very powerful in their own ways. You know, the feminine, when it's at the femininist, I already say that, is beautiful. It's amazing. And the masculine, when they're just, they're 100% there. I mean, that's impressive. But now that I've managed to at least some aspect, join the left and the right, like I was telling before, like I've always been right-handed. And now all of a sudden my left hand has become useful. Like first time today, I actually shave with my left hand. I've never done it before. Like, and I noticed certain things like, but anyway, but yeah, I've noticed that the masculine and feminine are finally, I mean, that's the holy grail, right? You take two faces, point them at each other, look at the object in the middle. That's what the holy grail is the masculine and feminine.
Do you have that picture?
That's actually in my phone, which is out there.
Man, you're going to have to send that to me. So he's got this picture of a silhouette of a man, silhouette of a woman, and they're not kissing, but they're like
they're just facing each other. Yeah, they're probably about that far apart.
Yeah, and the center of it,
you can probably see it in the hands. Look, look, there it is, right there. Same thing.
Pretty much. Yeah.
See, it shows there's the top of the cup, the stem, and then the base.
The Holy Grail.
Which is that's a picture of the Holy Grail. Yep.
Let's see. Okay. So do you have any do you feel like you have any sacred wisdom that you pull down from your higher self? I mean, the universe speaks to each of us in its own unique way, but you know, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So there's always some kind of thread of something that serves the collective, even though it's meant for us personally. But do you feel like there's anything you're being given that you kind of have a good insight on? Not that there's a right or wrong answer.
I would say would be the masculine and feminine is the two polarities. That's been one of my main missions here on this earth, is to take the far left and the far right and link them together. And I never really known that I've done that, or at least consciously, until kind of recently. But I would say that if you can learn to not think that when you learn something new that truly actually matters in the long run, that's only a stepping stone to get you to the next one, to the next one, to the next. So every time you learn something new that's amazing, be careful how deep you dive into it, because you're not that thing that was shown to you is there to get you to the next thing, and it's not there for you to fall back into, or to fall into.
And probably a metaphor.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying, not to attach to that which kind of,
because it's new and exciting.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I want to dive into it and spend 3 months into it.
Yeah. Get over the wow.
Yeah.
I used to tell my friends that, you know, when they'd wake up, they'd be like, you don't understand. I'm like, get over the wow, man. Get over the wow, so the next one can come in. But man, they're coming in fast. These last, I'd say since 1st of April. Like the 2020s moved fast, but like in like even the last two or 3 weeks, it's like one thing after another. Do you ever feel the energies when they're coming in?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like the last couple of days, I've probably taken about 6 or 7 hours worth of naps, and then probably still slept 5 or 6, 7 hours at night. And I tell you, it's my heart and the whole center of my body pretty much is just it's just been going crazy. It's just been, especially the heart has been exploding lately.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of my emergence of the two, the masculine and feminine, has reached an all new high for me. So I believe that that's the heart reacting to that. Or probably one aspect of that at least.
Yeah.
But of course, energy, I've always felt it. And when I was younger, I used to think, like, is this a part of me? Like, why do I feel this way? But when, of course, I got older, I realized that I was just feeling everything else around me. And that's another thing too, is when you're around people, especially people that are not awake, you have to remember they're very powerful at projecting insecurities. And now that you're very sensitive, you're going to pick that up tenfold.
Mm.
So these feelings that you feel that are very powerful, just remember it's there for you to breathe it in, and then let it out. Don't combat it, because all that's going to do is just put you back in the old you.
Yeah. Don't engage.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah. Don't engage. So what do you think love is?
It's what we are.
Yeah.
Love is not a thing we strive to be. Like, people want to get married and they want to fall in love. Like, if you fall in love, then that means you weren't there to begin with. But we're always there. It's just a difference of if we've known it or not, and if we try to fight it. Because most people, they try to fight the fact. They think, oh, well, it's like I've always had different people, relationships in the past, that they would always question why we're in a relationship. And I kept telling them, I'm like, if you keep asking me why we're together, you're going to turn me away. I'm just like, and I kept, but they were so insecure that they would, and I'm like, okay, which obviously it worked out the way that it was, on purpose. But I always wondered why people always talk themselves out of good things.
Yeah.
Because the insecurity is so high in a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
True.
When you start questioning things that are good, you need to work on that.
True. Yeah.
Oh.
You start bitching about this and that, and there's boatloads of other people out there that are just scraping for a meal or whatever the case is in many parts of the world.
Oh yeah.
So you were one other question. What are your thoughts on sacred sexuality? Do you have any?
Well, that's actually kind of been in my kind of wheelhouse off and on, that I've experienced many different aspects of that. Like the whole, like we talked about before, the whole, dominant submissive thing and all that. Like, to me, I love getting into different aspects because I feel that I'm here to draw two far things together. So I've always played kind of off and on with that. But the whole sacred sexuality thing, now that's a different level. That's two people fully respecting each other, being equal, being on the same level, or at least close to the same level in some ways. Now that is something I've yet to really dive into. I've been more on the polarities in the past. So now I'm ready to.
Well, I think everybody can relate to that. Everybody's had their bouts of domination and submission, energetically at least.
Oh yeah.
So the interesting thing is I was saying to Stephen that, have you ever done any like lives or anything? And you said you were actually thinking about doing this like a couple of years ago, right? And you're thinking about starting a YouTube, and you do light language and you sing, right?
I do.
And you dance.
Oh yeah.
To hip hop, electronic.
Like I said, I did most of my stuff in the raver days. So that type of music, the trance. All that stuff, really.
Electro.
I connect.
EDM.
But honestly though, if it's good vibe music, it doesn't matter. I can dance to it. Yeah. But it has to be positive and good vibe. If it has a negative message, I can't get down with it.
Yeah, I got you. All right, man. What else do we have here today?
Well, let me
you got some more.
One more look at these things. Of course, we need to realize that we don't know much of anything. We
don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And that's the thing, because the minute that you know something, then you put yourself in that box, like, oh, I know this, and you hang on to it. You're
like me. I can't read your writing.
I'm thinking that this is one of the huge ways that hold us back. As of a mystic or a yogi says, if your cup is already full, then how can you truly grow?
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the most important thing to realize is once you go through a lot of your BS and a lot of your stuff that you really don't want to deal with, or that you don't know how to get down to the core of, once you go through that, like, I feel so connected now. It's It's wow
Mm.
is the best way to put it.
Mm.
And I know that this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And I've always known my entire life that I was here for a humongous purpose, ginormous
Yeah.
purpose. You know, like I said, after my parents got divorced at 7, I didn't speak till I was almost 13. I had such a bad stuttering problem. They put me in emotionally handicapped classes. I had such a bad stuttering problem. I couldn't say more than 2 words at a time all the way till I was 13. I really went deep in this stuff. So it allowed me to shut my mouth and to observe everything.
Wow. What a gift. Blessings or burdens, burdens or blessings.
Mm-hmm. And
so you want to do some light language? Damn, that's pretty good, man. That's very good. I hadn't heard anything like that. That's like a mix of several different things I've heard.
Like I said, I actually found that out back when I was younger. I was always good at messing with people, which is not a good idea, by the way. But me and my buddy, he would say something, and he was like, Steve can talk backwards. So then I would just say, and everyone else around would be like, wow, and I'd be like, all right, that's not cool. It's not cool to mess with people. But I didn't realize it back then that was actually a light language. And it always came naturally to me, and it just came out. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Far out, man.
Life is good.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
I'm good. You good?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Just the beginning.
Yeah. So we're going to do this again.
I'm down.
You down?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right on. All right. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for dropping in on our spontaneous. And we have Sherwin Nig NG on tonight, talking dragons with Hung Nguyen. Peace out.
See ya.